Hey y'all, it's Sarah, the wine-loving bookworm, back with another book review. And since I'm still on the Whole 30 for 10 more days, I can see the finish line and there is a glass of wine waiting there for me. But for tonight, I am going to keep with the kombucha. And I am still drinking the GTS Synergy brand, basically because it's the only one without added sugar. At least most of their kinds don't have added sugar. So I just walked into Publix, picked this up, no sugar, bought it. So it's Gingerberry. Let's see how it goes. Now that is actually not bad. Let me try it one more time. Okay, I don't know if it's just been that it's been a really long time since I've had a glass of wine, or this stuff is starting to grow on me, but this is actually pretty good. Okay, so a win for the kombucha. Try Gingerberry, pick it up. So for the book, last week I kind of gave you guys 3 options on the book and asked you to vote, and only my mom voted. So, that's kind of sad and pathetic and typical all at the same time. So tonight we're going to be talking about Jodi Picoult's Small Great Things. This, I think, is her newest book, and if you don't know who Jodi Picoult is, you must be living under a rock, or just do not read, because she's a very prolific author. Her most famous book is probably My Sister's Keeper, and they made that into a movie. I think some of her other books have been made into movies, but it's more like a Lifetime movie kind of thing, if you feel me. So the only other book I've read by her, I think, was called 10th Circle. I don't read a lot of her books, and that was pretty good. This was a book club book. They're giving me a lot of material at my book club, and most of her books deal with interpersonal relationships, and generally something tragic happens. And this is no exception here. So, the basic backstory of the book is about Ruth, who's a black nurse working in a hospital. She's been a nurse for 20-something years. And she's on her shift. She's a labor and delivery nurse, I should say that. She's on her shift, and she comes into a room, and a couple, Brittany and Turk, a white couple, they have had their baby, and she comes in there doing her job, and they just are kind of really weird to her, and they ask to speak to her supervisor. She's like, okay. Later on, she realizes that they don't want her handling the baby, being around the baby, touching the baby, because she's black. And they put a note in the file saying, only white nurses and doctors. So she's a little pissed about it, but she lets it go. Later on in the night, she is in the nursery, and she's by herself, and their baby, Brittany and Turk's baby, goes into cardiac distress. So she hesitates. She knows she's not supposed to touch the baby. She knows she's not supposed to help the baby, but here's the baby suffering. So she hesitates, and then she does CPR. Somebody else comes in, they take over. End of the story is the baby dies. Later on, it's determined that she did hesitate, and they end up filing criminal charges against her. This just blows up, becomes a media sensation, as you can imagine. You've got white supremacists, very proud white supremacists, they do not hide it. And then you've got, a black single mother trying to raise her son, which we'll talk about later. And becomes a very Trayvon Martin kind of media circus. And she goes on trial, and this really affects her son. Her son, she's tried to shield him his whole life. She has tried to have him go to private schools, have all the privileges, lived in the good neighborhoods. So he's basically around white people all the time. He doesn't really know a lot about his ethnicity, his background. He's never been around a lot of people like him that have the same color of his skin, at least. So while this is all going on, Ruth has a public defender who's a white woman, and as cliche as this sounds, they kind of learn from each other and grow from their relationship and blah, blah, blah. But it really does affect her son, and her son actually kind of starts shunning the life that he's always had and starts hanging out with his African-American cousins and, kind of rebelling against, everything he's done to this point. He was an excellent student and an athlete and all that. Now he doesn't want any of that, and that stems from the stuff his mom is going through. So it was a really good book. I made fun of it being kind of a cliche, like learning from each other. There did seem to be a lot of cliches in the book, a little like kumbaya at times, but we'll kind of get to that a little later about why I think that was. What I liked about the book, I loved her son, like I said, and that wasn't really like a universal opinion at my book club. A lot of people didn't like him, and I didn't see why. I thought he was the most believable, genuine character in the book. The way he reacted with his mom, the way he kind of rebelled and wanted to find himself. I thought that was all very believable. Everything he said, everything he did. But maybe that's just my opinion. Obviously it is. I also really liked Ruth's kind of internal struggle because she'd always tried so hard to make something out of herself in, quote unquote, a white world. And she had done well for herself. So this was hard for her. She'd always been like, I don't see color, kind of person, and I've earned this, and now they want to take it all away from me, basically because I'm black. So that kind of internal struggle and dialogue was interesting. What I didn't like Brittany and Turk. Oh, they were so one-dimensional. I know they're white supremacists, and you're making them the bad guys, but nobody's black and white. Everybody has shades of gray. So I thought their one-dimensionality was just disingenuous, not believable. She did do a good job conveying the pain of the baby dying and how it affected them and how it just broke the mom down. She did do a good job of that. But as for their overall personalities and character, I didn't find them believable. The ending, I did not like. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but I thought it was awful. I mean, I'm going to be just blunt and serious right now. It was bad. I didn't like it. Other people didn't feel that way. I didn't like it. And then, getting back to the stereotypes, I felt like there was a lot of stereotypes running through there. Just some of the dialogue didn't come off natural. Some of the thoughts of people, and the things they were doing just didn't come off natural. And I think, and this is a criticism of the book that I've read, I think it's because, Jodi Picoult's a white woman. For her to write from the perspective of a black woman is strange. It's just strange, especially in this context. So she has something in the back of the book that explains why she did it. I didn't really agree with what she said, but it is what it is. So I just didn't like that. And I think she reinforced a lot of stereotypes throughout the book. So, and again, you're kind of making caricatures of people. And you can't really do that in real life because people are people. They have, they're more than just their color. They're more than just their occupation, So that, I think she struggled with that in the book. Who would like it? Jodi Picoult fans. I mean, this is typical Jodi Picoult, although it's a little bit out of her wheelhouse with the racism stuff. I don't know that she's done anything like this before. If you're a Jodi Picoult fan, you're going to like it. My rating, I'd give it probably 3.5 out of 5. Maybe a 3 out of 5. I don't know. I wanted to like the book. A lot of it came off fake and disingenuous. There's going to be a movie, so that's something, and it's going to star Viola Davis and Julia Roberts. So those are pretty big actresses right there. I didn't find much about it other than that it's in development and that those are the two stars. So I guess we'll have to see. I don't know how this would do in a movie. I think those women being the leads might add some, genuineness to it. I'm not sure what they're going to do with the book. If they're going to keep the ending the way it was and how they'll handle that. So that'll be interesting to see as it comes about. Okay, so that is Small Great Things. Moving on to next week, I decided I am right in the middle of my son's second book he has to read for the year. So I'm trying to get that done so I can quickly read Becoming Odessa, about the lady who does the Appalachian Trail, and I might have to push the book review to Monday again if I don't finish it in time. I'm going to try to really finish it. Monday or Tuesday, actually. I have a full day on Monday. But And I'm going to compare that with Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I went and just tried to find the dang book, and I realized that I read it on the Kindle, so I don't have a picture or actual physical book to show you. So I'm going to read that and kind of compare it to Wild. I really loved Wild, so I'm kind of interested to see how this book is. So that's what I'll be doing next week. And next week, I will still have to be drinking kombucha. I kind of want to keep drinking this one because it's not bad like the other ones. But I'll give another one a shot next week. So thanks for coming in and listening, for tuning in and listening, coming in, you're not here, and pick up some Gingerberry kombucha. This stuff's not bad. All right, guys, until next time, cheers.